Welcome back, everyone, to the Detox Your Dome podcast. This is one of my favorite episodes to date. Today, we are diving into the world of non-toxic vulvovaginal health, sexual wellness, empowerment, and entrepreneurship. We interviewed Lindsay Wynn, the founder of Momotaro Apotheca, which is a certified organic, cruelty-free vulvovaginal care line designed to support your body's natural ability to heal. Lindsay has created these proactive plant-based formulations to gently yet effectively address symptoms from common vulvovaginal issues like yeast infections, BV, UTIs, dryness, itching, and post-sex irritation, all without disrupting pH balance, hormones, pheromones, or ongoing medication. We go all over the place in this episode. We talk about one of my favorite topics, which is the blending of both Western clinical data with homeopathic, traditional Chinese, and Ayurvedic medicine, and how Lindsay has used both to formulate products that really, truly work. You'll hear Lindsay's personal journey from dealing with repeated vaginal infections to founding a brand rooted in care, inclusivity, and effective, clean ingredients. We talk about the most effective herbs for healing yeast infections, BV, and UTIs, and how they work in synergy. We talk about the complexities of getting a homeopathic medicine approved by regulatory bodies. We talk about what everyone with a vulva should and should not be doing to maintain balance and overall wellness. We also, of course, ask the candid questions people are often too embarrassed to ask. This is a rich, empowering deep dive into plant-based healing, female-centered entrepreneurship, and redefining intimate wellness. I absolutely came away from this episode having learned so much and feeling so empowered, and I know you will too. Welcome to Detox Your Dome, the podcast, where we empower you with knowledge about the ingredients that make up the products that we use every day. And we help you to become a more informed consumer on your journey towards living a clean, safe, and toxin-free lifestyle. Detox Your Dome. Body, home, planet. Welcome, Lindsay, to the podcast.
Thank you both, Monica and Sophia. I'm so happy to be here. I love what you all are doing and the message that you're sending.
Thank you so much. Likewise. So I feel like the idea for this brand, for Momotaro Apotheca, could not have just come out of nowhere. So I would love to know the story behind realizing that there is a need for organic and natural products for vaginal and sexual health.
You know, it's so funny. That's such a great way to phrase this question because people ask how this business has been started often. And when you're like, oh, where did this come from? It's not nowhere. And the answer is it's very much not nowhere. I could probably give you a geolocation of where this actually started.
You're like college dorms.
Yeah. Worse, actually. I don't know if we talked about this before, but I had crazy vulvovaginal infections as a reaction to a spicy afternoon with a boyfriend in a hot spring.
Oh, no.
Yeah, I know. It's not my proudest moment.
Oh, no.
But I was young.
But look, it got you here. So
Sure.
Wait, when was this?
This was at 26 years old. So maybe a little too old to make these choices, but it was in the middle of nowhere. Like literally it was like
we've all been there.
A 10-mile hike in through these hot springs. Oh, no. And, to be honest, I did know better. I knew this wasn't something I should do, but like many women do, they make choices that kind of go against their gut sometimes because of the shame that they feel as it relates to their body and sexual health. And so I was like, oh, fine, it's fine. I'll be fine. I didn't even want to admit that I could potentially get like a yeast infection or that this wouldn't be good for my vaginal microbiome because we're all expected to be perfect all the time. So, we have a little fun, a day later, I have a yeast infection from the devil himself. And because I had never had
He's not still in the picture, right?
He's my business partner.
He gets a cut.
He does. Actually, he's wonderful. We joke that that happened for a reason because his background is in biology and chemistry. And so I really did need him in the formulation process. So it was like the world working in weird ways. But
if you can't beat him, have him join you.
Join hthem. Totally. But
right? You got to just use them.
The universe is like, we need this and we're making it happen no matter the cost.
You are the chosen one.
Yes.
So, I went straight to the fem care aisle, if you will. And I'm just one of those people, my body did not react well. And if you have ever had a yeast infection and taken a monostat, it's pretty common that people have adverse reactions or it can start an infection cycle, which it did for me. So I had both. It was uncomfortable. Then I had BV. BV gave me a UTI, gave me a kidney infection, which gave me another yeast infection. And so on and so forth for, a year of my life and beyond physiological symptoms that I was having. So much of our sexual health is like psychosomatic. So then my relationship starts struggling because we stop, being intimate. And then I just feel I have no confidence in so many other parts of my life because I'm struggling with this very intimate thing that nobody talks about. And so that was the okay, one, I need to find my own solutions or make my own solutions because, I turned myself into this vaginal wellness DIY rabbit after everything failed. And two, no one's talking about this. I know I'm not the only one who has these issues. Statistically, even it's quite pervasive.
And people feel so much shame around it, but it's so much more common than you think.
Even walking down the fem care aisle, I feel like there's just immediate shame. I also feel like there's some, I have some friends that are so open and will literally tell you their full life story. And then some friends who will totally struggle and suffer in silence. Were you someone who was always kind of vocal about these things and wanting to give it a voice, or did you find empowerment through this process?
It was the process. Even as somebody who I think I consider myself decently outgoing, this still wasn't on the table for me to talk about. I was still shy because it just wasn't available to me through my community, even through my parents. And I had good parents. It still was really hard. And so it took time and a lot of years to, be the yeast infection girl, which sucks.
So how did you learn about everything? Was it your own personal research or who did you leverage?
Yeah. So as mentioned, my partner, my hot spring partner and business partner, his background is in science, and we were looking for a project. I had been working in the beauty and cosmetics industry prior to that in New York City. So I was working in a lot of the innovation labs, watching how products were made. And I was always really infatuated with the process because a lot more rudimentary than you would imagine. It's we like this ingredient or this is trending, let's explore it. And we kind of did the same thing. We're based out of Portland, Oregon, and Portland has the largest naturopathic society, has a big college there and a huge community of traditional Chinese medicine practitioners. So we actually had a ton of access to community and just self-education tools. And so we really started there. We started distilling our own herbs in the kitchen down with a still. So making lavender hydrosols, reading about these herbs, cross-referencing them with the Western clinical studies. And really, really cooked this stuff from scratch to start. And then as we wanted to create more validity in this, started reaching out to other practitioners.
Well, even before all of that, I feel we don't, not until I feel you learn about vaginal health in 5th grade health class. And then you don't really learn about anything until you go through something yourself. So how did you, you had to kind of go all the way back and be okay, what's actually going on down there? What are all the names? I feel I learned that through problems that I had.
Right. Yeah, totally. Most people do not know the difference between the vulva and the vagina. The vagina is the internal canal that connects your vulva to your cervix. Your vulva is everything on the outside, and people don't really realize or differentiate that they're two different body parts that require two different types of care. A lot of people don't realize that there's 3 holes down there, that you do not pee out of your vagina, that you pee out of, your urethra and things like that. And so, yeah, you're totally right in that while I was experiencing these issues, and these issues manifest in different ways, right? So you can have an itchy or a dry vulva, or you can be the inside, which we call the vestibule, which is in between your labia, hurts. What is that? That's the mucous membrane part. Right. Or why is it feeling like I'm being stabbed with a needle in my urethra, which do people have the words for that? I don't know.
No, so you literally have to you're Google imaging diagram and you're I don't know. Is it that?
Yes.
You're like, I think this is what's going on.
No, it's so true. Like people just, I mean, me too. Like people just don't know.
Right.
I know. We always recommend, and if you're listening, like grab a mirror, like look at your vulva, look at your parts. It's really important that we, one, name them so we can understand what's happening to them if we have to go to the doctor. And then two, like pleasure, also understanding what feels good and where feels good. And then just like, lack of shame. Like, oh, this is my body. It's not this like.
It's literally our body. Like it's the body that you exist in at all times of your life. And we're not taught about it. We don't know about it. We honestly kind of ignore it. And if you're having issues down there, it's so easy to be like dismissive or feel a lot of shame around it, even to talking to a doctor about it, you know, like not bringing up, I feel like just regular practices that could be preventative or like maintaining good vaginal or sexual wellness.
Yeah.
So before, I kind of want to walk it back, like, because I definitely want to talk about the Momotaro Apotheca products, key ingredients, you know, what you kind of discovered throughout your process of how to naturally, or more naturally, I guess you could say, cure and heal these issues. But what about just like day to day? What are some day to day things that everyone that has a vulva or vagina should be doing to like maintain wellness that they're probably not doing?
Yeah, well, I think a really good place to start is like understanding what your normal is. Like, what is neutral for you? What is like a good feeling vagina or vulva feel like, right? Like, I always say it's when you can't feel it, aside from like if you're turned on, like, I don't want to be thinking about my vulva in my pants. Like, what's going on in there?
I agree with
not fitting. You know, like a lady.
These undies are too tight.
Yes. Oh my God. I felt that way like 2 days ago on a walk with my underwear, but like on my butthole. I'm like, why?
There's nothing worse than like a thong wedgie that's like just killing you. And you're like, I need to just do something about this.
Yes. Worst. And yeah, I digress, but yes, find your neutral, right? What is, and also make sure you're not minimizing your pain, right? We've also been taught to accept, a lot of pain and discomfort as normal as it relates to our vulva and our vagina. So think about that. The basics you've heard before, I'm sure, like, you know, wearing cotton underwear when possible, like letting your vulva breathe at night. So if you can't and you want to wear the like skanky polyester thong, which like I even do sometimes, you know, like that's fine. I have some like Fenty bodysuits that are definitely made out of plastic. And like, you know, so
this can't be good for me or anything else, but I'm having fun with
it's sexy.
It's sexy. And you know what? Like, this is not about being perfect. It's about a better understanding, right? Like doing what we can when we can. So like, sleep naked at night, wear the like cotton underwear that has a thicker gusset, which is a gusset is the space where your like vulva goes. So like a lot of cheap and modern underwear make like 1-inch gussets, and like no one's vulva is that big, you know?
We've all been there trying to like buy some cheap underwear and you're like, this just isn't working.
Like, where am I putting this? Like, front wedgie is not hot.
Literally, it's not cute.
No.
It's extremely uncomfortable.
Yes. Exactly. Another good one, obviously, pee after sex. Sex can be incredibly irritating for so many reasons. We can dive into that later, whether it's lube, condoms, being fluid bonded, things like that. So always be mindful of the products you're using and, you know, or not using during any type of sex. I really recommend a probiotic. Obviously, this is a great prophylactic suggestion. Understanding our gut health is connected to our vaginal health. We have 2 microbiomes there, as well as our immune health is really important. Our overall immunity is what is helping us fight these infections and discomfort. And people often don't think about that. Like, oh, I'm sick, I'm going to like take this thing. And then they're like, well, why does my vagina feel like shitty too? There's a great doctor we follow that says like your vulva health is a reflection of your overall health as well. You know, like whether it's your hydration. So like hydration is another really important part, like inside your vulva tissue in the vestibule, that is a mucous membrane. And so if you are dehydrated, that is going to be dehydrated.
I mean, it's almost like it's your most sensitive, I would think, one of your most sensitive parts of your body. Like if something's going to be affected, it's probably going to be that first. Like, is that
No, I love that. It just makes me think about like, oh, our 7th sense is like the vagina.
I mean, it totally is.
Wait, that's so true though.
In so many ways, like spiritually and physiologically.
Yeah, I love that you said sleep naked. Like that changed my life.
Yes.
Everyone needs to be sleeping naked. Actually,
Absolutely.
the fire alarm went off the other day, and I'm like, should I not be sleeping naked?
I think about that
You're like, I
sometimes
might get
too.
caught in a fire, but
Yeah, I'm
Like keep
shoot.
a robe nearby or something.
Yeah.
Like,
Right,
I wasn't a
something to
robe
grab
person
something
or like a
quick.
towel. I
Yep.
agree. But yeah, I mean, it really does. We like wear all these tight clothes. We, you know,
You gotta let it breathe.
You
let
do.
it breathe.
You
Sleep
yeah.
like
Okay,
a
so question
starfish
on that
too.
though, like what about, so obviously sleep naked. What about like no underwear? Like if you're wearing like a dress or like a skirt, is that fine?
Totally. You don't need to. I mean, you do not need to wear underwear unless
I'm
you're
a big
one.
commando girl.
You're
Like
worried
as much
about,
as
like-
I can, I'm like, I don't want the underwear. Just it restricts me.
Oh yeah, I
I don't
still
know if I can go like full command. I mean, if I'm wearing a long dress, perhaps.
Yeah, nothing short. I won't go
I
commando
mean,
with, like,
that if I'm wearing short dress, no underwear, I'm feeling slutty all day, which is like its
Yes.
own take, which like can be
Absolutely.
fun.
I feel like a hoe. But like, live your
Yeah.
truth, honestly.
yep.
Totally live your truth, but like, yeah, you don't need to wear underwear unless like
Yeah.
there's a few schools of thought, right? If you have some tight ass jeans and all of a sudden
Yeah.
you've got like a middle
Yeah.
seam made of denim, like shredding your clitoris,
That can be good.
Yeah.
that
Can be
can't
good.
That
feel
also won't be
good.
comfy. Yeah.
No, but you know, and or if you're worried about discharge, like or
Mhm.
something like that. But again, those are all personal choices. But there's no health reason, you know, related to having to wear underwear. Typically,
Mhm.
you have body hair that would, you know, if you do or don't, whatever. But like body hair was built to like keep things out of your vulva.
Oh, so you're pro body hair. You're like the bush, let it flow.
No, not even
Okay, no,
necessarily.
okay.
I am an absolute anomaly. Like I grew up in Southern California, and so I was always wearing a bikini. So I've been trimming
Yeah.
the bush since I was probably too young to do so.
Yep.
But it's more just to help people understand. Like,
Protect.
yes, these are
Right.
things our bodies do to protect our vulva. So like underwear can, body hair can, you know, or like free the peach and like let it all hang out. You know,
Love
personal
it.
preference.
Love it.
Also, on that note of going back to what you're saying about the gusset, I have started seeing recently polyester based biker shorts or underwear, but they'll have a cotton gusset at
Yeah.
least. So at least like the area that's touching your vulva is the cotton. So like
Mhm.
I feel like some brands are
That's
starting to get
awesome.
strategic because it obviously is more expensive. And I think that's
Yes.
always like the biggest thing. People are like, I would love to wear organic cotton underwear at all times, but I can't spend $50 on a 3-pack.
Yeah.
So like what am
Totally.
I going to do here? But I think brands are starting to, I even saw someone online, they found like these cute biker shorts at Target, but like the gusset was cotton. So definitely
Love.
like keep your eyes out for that. I feel like things are starting to pop up.
Yeah, and I think that's what this is about. Like we make as many changes as we can. Like
Right.
we still live in the modern world, and
Yep.
like I don't sleep on an organic mattress with an organic sheets, and like that's really
Yep.
hard to do.
Yeah,
So
you're
make those
realistic.
make those choices when you can. And a cotton
Exactly.
gusset is a great replacement if you don't want to, you know, throw out all your
Right.
Sheen panties or whatever.
And my whole perspective about it too is that it's like at least you have the conscious the ability to make that conscious decision.
Yes.
Like at least you are educated
know.
about what polyester underwear is versus what cotton underwear is, and you're like, okay, at least I know what's going on versus feeling completely left in the dark and just like purchasing things, not understanding the potential risk and kind of being left with that. Like at least you can be like, okay, I want to wear these sexy underwear for all weekend long or no underwear with these jeans or whatever it is.
Yeah.
But like you're making that decision out of a place of like conscious decision making.
Mhm.
Yeah, and I think that's really important because the way our bodies feel, especially as women, fluctuates. Like
Right.
every, you know, week, month, whatever. Like when I'm, you know, in the week before my cycle, and I have like a weird phantom period from an IUD, which is another kind of toxic thing that like
Yeah.
definitely affected my vulvovaginal health when I got it in. But I needed it. Whatever. We don't need. It's a different story.
Different story.
But I get really irritated. And so like, I know my body is already kind of operating below its norm. So those are times where I'm not going to choose the polyester underwear. I'm going to make sure I'm taking my probiotic. Diet also really affects vulvovaginal health. And so I'm really careful. I'm like always eating the fermented foods.
Right.
I'm eating a ton of fiber. Fiber is super important for women. I know like protein, all of this is going crazy right now, but do not forget your fiber as a woman. It's really important.
Right.
One
One of
and
our
so stuff
friends
like
was-
that.
one of our friends in our group chat was talking recently. She's like, guys, we're not eating enough fiber. This is what I've been eating to get my fiber in. And I was kind of laughing to myself because I'm like, we're in this like heavy protein phase right now. And then people are like, but now you have to get the fiber. And then I'm like, okay, so it always just comes back to a balance. Like you just need to be eating balanced diet.
I can't. If there's too much information.
Anything that's too extreme just can't be good. So, but I have a question about, sorry, go ahead.
No, I was going to say the extremes, think of it as a horseshoe, good and bad. The two extremes are much closer to each other than you really think, right? Like,
that's so true.
What do you mean?
So like when you think about a horseshoe from right to left or right and wrong, or maybe not right and wrong, but like you got the extreme of one side that's like must have all the meat. And then on the horseshoe, you have the extreme of other sides, but those radical sides are much closer together down
here. You need to be in the middle.
Right. That's such a good visual. I've never heard that before.
I love that.
Yeah. Like, anyway, sorry.
Like any extreme. No, any extreme. It's so true. Like it always just comes back to balance. It's like, oh, you're eating just red meat and you don't have enough fiber. And now you're having all these other issues. Like shit.
Yeah. The country's not dying of,
get your veggies in, get your fruits in, get your meat in. That's it.
Exactly. Okay. So I have a question about fermented foods and probiotics. Does it differ the type of probiotic you would take for vulva or vaginal health? Does that differ from like a generic probiotic?
Yeah, definitely. So there's a ton of research and thought around like probiotic strains. And so I definitely am in the camp of that you should be specifically addressing the strains that relate to vulvovaginal care, vaginal health, specifically vaginal flora, because the gut bacteria balance is different than the vaginal bacterial balance. So look for certain strains, and I can send you a big list, L. reuteri, things like that, lactobacillus, that are supportive of our vaginal health specifically. But our gut health as well is, of course, related. So I think if you can find a probiotic that does both,
yes.
So I think I take a probiotic. I take a bunch of things. I don't even know anymore. Do most center on like vaginal health? Like, is it rare to have that in your probiotic?
No. So if you take like a women's multi probiotic, there's probably
like a one a day.
Yeah, it's probably there's probably some in there, but if you're somebody that struggles, I would say definitely look for a vaginal specific blend.
Right.
Okay. And this might be a silly question, but like, why does someone struggle more with vaginal health than another person?
That's a great question. And it could be from a myriad of things, right? We're all born with very different microbiomes. Our genetics have to do with that. Our diets end up affecting it. Any other third-party factor, like how many antibiotics did you take as a child because you got chronic strep throat, right? Like I took a ton. That was something I got. And so they've been like, well, did you take a lot of antibiotics as a kid? And I was like, yeah. And they're like, well, that probably has something to do with the fact that like you're like struggling now with taking antibiotics and your bacterial is off, because the antibiotics we take as kids and just in general, one, they're not formulated specifically for women, right? There isn't a specific men versus women's dose, which is really, really interesting. And that's
has that changed, by the way, or is it still the case?
No, it's still the case. So
wow.
And you have to take it. Like you have strep throat, you have to.
Yes. And so we're just blasting our systems with, various medications and, antibiotics and things like that affect it. And so, some of it's genetic autoimmune disorders can affect your vulvovaginal health, any type of like sickness, lifestyle, right? Like I do a ton of yoga and I swim a lot. And those are things that like are not super vulvovaginal friendly. Like I'm wet in body often, not in a pleasant way.
Yeah, you're wearing like a bathing suit all day. Yeah, right. Makes sense.
Yep.
Yeah. And I say that too with the like, if you are one of those people that suffers, like, and you're like, oh, why do some people feel like they're fine? Yes, they also might not be talking about it because the statistics always veer on the side of that vulvovaginal discomfort can be pretty uncommon. 1 in 3 people have BV at any given time. 80% of people will have a yeast infection in their life, with 40 to 50% of those people having them recurrently, which means more than 3 times a year. So the stuff is really common.
One of the very first brands that I started using when I transitioned to a non-toxic lifestyle, and one that I've consistently kept purchasing products from, is Primally Pure. They have such simple yet effective products for skin, body, hair, home, and baby. They use ingredients that you can just recognize and understand when looking at the ingredient label. They also source their ingredients from farms that prioritize soil health as well as regenerative and sustainable practices. So you just know that they are the highest quality products and you can feel good about purchasing and supporting them. Okay, some pillar products that I recommend. First, their charcoal deodorant. This is the one and only clean, non-toxic deodorant that actually works for me. I've recommended it to so many people who are also now hooked. Their baby balm, even though this is for babies, this is what I use as my alternative to Aquaphor or Vaseline. I have it in all of our cars, bags. I keep it next to the bed. It's so hydrating and nourishing. I use it on my lips mainly, but also all over my body. I sometimes get eczema and just like dry, irritated skin in the winter, and it's been a huge help for that. I also cannot live without their spirulina soothing mask. I do it at least once a week. I'll do some sort of clay mask and then the Primally Pure soothing mask afterwards. Not only does it make my skin so bouncy and restored, but it also just smells so good. I swear it has like aromatherapy benefits. I'll do it every Sunday on my self-care Sundays, and it just like resets me back for the week. I recommend the soothing mask for people with dry skin, and then for people with oily, combination, or acne prone skin, I recommend the clarifying mask. Other Primally Pure products that I love are their body butters that are made with tallow. The almond and vanilla one actually makes you smell like a cookie. Their cleansing oils, their dry shampoo, their candles, shower steamers. I also gifted their lip oil to a few people over Christmas, and I've heard wonderful things. You actually just can't go wrong with anything Primally Pure. I have tried at least a dozen of their products at this point, and I've had such wonderful experiences with every single one of them. They also ship completely plastic free, which always gains points in my book. Every time I use something from Primally Pure, it really feels like I'm treating myself. All of their products just have a very elevated feeling and scent. I always say that I feel like I'm at the spa when I'm using Primally Pure. I am so happy to tell you that I can get you a 10% discount off of all Primally Pure products if you use the code DetoxYourDome at checkout. That is DetoxYourdome for 10% off at checkout.
Are UTIs considered yeast infections, or is that a separate category?
Very different, very different.
Okay.
So yeast is actually a fungal infection, and a urinary tract infection can actually be caused from a few different things, but it's bacterial. A lot of the times it's E. coli. Yeah.
And then what about BV?
Right? BV is an imbalance of the bacteria as well, primarily caused from Gardnerella.
Okay. So three separate things that are causing those three separate issues.
Yes.
Gotcha.
However, you can address them in similar ways, which is what we do. We can talk about that later. So right now we tend to look at separate methodologies that address the commonalities for each specific infection, but midwives, doulas, traditional Chinese medicine, Ayurveda gave us antimicrobials that really can address everything, which is the approach we try to take so that you're not taking 100 different things.
Yep. Cool. It's consolidated. How does pH balancing play into this? Like, what does that mean?
So it's funny. This is an interesting topic because there's so much, I think, like chatter around pH balance because it's one of the things I think people understand. They're like, okay, I understand that my vagina has a pH. Your vaginal pH is typically pretty acidic. It's why vaginas don't taste like flowers and cake, and they shouldn't. They actually are more akin to beer and tomatoes. So hopefully you're a beer and tomato fan, people listening, or your partners are. But so we understand the pH. And so people talk about don't do anything to your vagina. Like if you do something to it, it has to be pH balanced. But like that's kind of a misnomer because something can be pH balanced, but there can still be things within that disrupt your pH. So it's really more about pH buffering and finding products that like buffer your pH, right? Like people are like, oh, what's the pH of your salve, or what's the pH of this? I'm like, it has to have water in it to have a pH also. So like a lot of products that we use for our vulvas are anhydrous, meaning they do not have any water in them. And so they don't have a pH.
They don't have it.
They can have ingredients.
And is it on like the package that says like what the pH level is, or how do you know?
Yes and no, because like I don't know any brands that put the pH on their products
I've definitely never seen that before.
No.
But it'll say like pH balancing wash.
Gotcha.
And I'm like,
Okay.
what does that mean? What does that
Right.
mean?
What
You
does
know,
that mean?
No,
It is
nothing.
It
Means
is.
nothing.
It's totally a misnomer. It should be like pH buffered, like will help keep
Okay.
your pH correct or
Got it.
won't disrupt it is what they really
Got it.
mean.
Got
Which
it.
means for a water price, it's like in the same pH, but still you could have ingredients in there that
Yep.
are irritating, like in a soap, say, like a lot of soaps will say this is like pH balance or pH balancing, but they'll have like scents in them or surfactants. Surfactants are what makes soap soapy, and they really dry things out. And so for the vulva, if you're washing your vulva and you're applying a soap to it, like you're kind of drying it out, and like nobody wants to like that astringent dry feeling when you wash your face. You don't really want your vulva to be that.
Right.
It needs some protection.
Unless you're doing your 6-step skincare routine down there as well.
Yeah, and if you do, like, let's talk about that.
Are people doing like a 6-step? Oh, I'm scared.
I mean, there's definitely some aesthetic vulva stuff.
There's
happening.
gotta be. Oh yes. I'm thinking like sex workers, like they've got to have
Oh my
routines.
God, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, for sure, especially, I mean, around the skincare. And so the like mons pubis and like upper skincare is also like a different story. Like you can put more up there. I mean, people wax, like I wax at like cheap places sometimes where the waxing is like bright purple. I'm like, oh my God.
You're like, this can't be right.
I'm
This
like,
is
I
not
can't
pH
tell.
balancing.
Yeah, but it's yeah, there's definitely aesthetic vulva.
What's the best way to wash your vulva and vagina? Like, what is there a certain type of soap that you should be using? Should you like not be allowing soap down there? Should you just be rinsing? Like, what's the best approach?
I am a big fan of warm water and a washcloth between, you know, any sort of like groin. You can use soap in the groin. So like between where your leg and like your outer labia meet. I don't have a model here, but I would show you.
You're just looking at your fingers. You're
and
like,
I know, right? So, I mean, like, I don't even, I'm going to spare you that weird visual. But so, yeah, you can wash your like groin with soap and your butt crack with soap and even down your like butthole, whatever. But inside your labia. So you have your outer labia and your inner labia, anywhere like inside the vulva, warm water and a washcloth is our recommendation. There are people out there who want soaps. And if you do want soaps, you know, there are brands that we do recommend if that feels like that is the right thing and right fit for you. And we don't poo-poo people's needs. Vaginal wellness is one size fits all, but you really, really can get away. And it's probably best just to use warm water inside the vulva.
Awesome.
Love it.
And then vaginal canal, different. That's the inside. You don't wash anything in there. You know,
nothing.
Yep. You don't need to like
let her rock.
Let her rock.
Okay.
That's where I'm sure you've all heard the phrase, the vagina is self-cleaning.
I don't know if I've heard that.
Self-cleaning.
Wow.
I think I've heard that. Yeah.
The vagina is self-cleaning. So like discharge, that is your vagina doing its job. It is cleaning itself. Yeah. You do not.
There needs to be like a women's health class, like 8th grade when you're 16, maybe even senior year.
Right. Like you'd think they would teach us.
Let's implement that.
I know there was so much talk about the health class and about like the talk and all these things, and then it never actually happens. It's like a 5-minute little chat, and then it's like, you have any questions? No. Okay. Moving on.
Just awkward silence.
Yeah. And people are too shy too, you know, like, and they don't even know what to ask.
Right.
I'll never
you don't
forget,
even know where
like,
to start.
I was in 8th grade and I'm like, what is 69ing? What does this mean?
No, yeah.
Why is everybody saying this word? And this is
I learned from like Omega. Like, do you remember that?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
I don't know. Or I probably heard it in 6th grade, couldn't figure it out, and then never
like
said
8th grade.
anything to anybody about it because
people
I was
are so
embarrassed.
shy.
Right.
Yeah. And then
you're like,
don't feel like they can go to their parents or their siblings. Like most people don't have that ability.
Yeah.
Right.
So there's definitely a need. So talk to us a little bit more about the company and like your top like 3 products.
Yes. So the company, again, I was trying to resolve my own issues. I was having all the infections and I didn't want to keep using 10 different things. So starting this company was really about creating something that addressed symptoms immediately. Like we all know that like first tingle and you're like, something ain't right. And then 2 days later, you've like got an infection. And so it addressed not only that like tingle and discomfort, but also the root cause. And so we started with the salve, which is our hero product. It was
Cool.
We made it in our kitchen, and it is essentially still the same product that we made back then that it is now,
Nice.
with stability and testing and all the things to make sure we were putting a safe product on the shelf. And it does just that. Like, you apply this product and you can feel it topically cool on your vulva. So say you just have like a bunch of rough sex, like rough sex leads to micro-tearing usually. Micro-tearing leads to infection. So you like slather it on, go on with your day, which is great. And so the antimicrobial pieces in there are super beneficial to help prevent the spread of bacteria from sex, things like that. So
and you said you were like making these hydrosols in your kitchen. Like, what were some of the ingredients that you were using then that remained in the product today?
I thought, and this doesn't sound like a big innovation, but like the micro-tearing was a big thing for me. And echinacea, people are very familiar with taking orally, but it also works topically. And so you can put echinacea on some sort of abrasion to help heal the abrasion.
Oh,
nice.
Same
and
as
that's like a plant. Is that like a leafy plant?
It's a leafy plant. Yeah, it's actually really beautiful. You'd recognize it's got big purple flowers.
Nice.
You've seen pictures of it. And then calendula as well, which is like related to chamomile. Same thing. It has these like soothing anti-inflammatory properties that are incredibly efficacious. And so those are two ingredients that we started with early on that were not in products at that time or anything natural that I was looking at. And I'm like, why aren't we addressing all of these things within the like life cycle of a vulva and of like women's health issues? And then like a couple of our other like hard hitting ingredients that address kind of the microbial issues. So like yeast and BV specifically are Oregon grape and tea tree. And both of those ingredients have a active compound called berberine in it, which has a ton of clinical data, like Western data on it, as well as homeopathic research, Ayurvedic, and traditional Chinese medicine. That's like, these things can cure yeast infections. They can, alter the pH, of a BV infection and things like that. So
I love it so much. And I love the strong reliance on plant-based medicine and plant-based ingredients to be the active ingredients in these products. And you keep bringing up, homeopathic medicine and Ayurvedic medicine, as well as Western clinical data. So what is your approach to finding the balance between both, and how do they both influence the creation of your products?
So I had obviously come from exhausting myself of the Western methodologies. I had taken the diflucan, the fluconazoles, all of the antibiotics, and they had actually exacerbated my sickness. And so by sheer need, I had to turn to other alternatives, which for me were plant-based methodologies. And so I started exploring them with naturopaths. I didn't love the outcomes from what I was being given, whether they were like clunky or stinky. Like I told you, I shoved garlic up my vagina once, like, which was bad. I know.
God. Does that work?
No.
That's like something my grandmother would say to do.
Totally. I mean, I went like deep into Reddit and they're like, try this. And I was like, okay.
You're like, I will try anything.
Totally. And so we just started very basic research. But as we did research on our own, we saw that there was data in lots of different places about these really like superstar ingredients that we carry in our products. And so we dove down that and then expanded further into symptoms we wanted to address. Like, again, the micro-tearing with echinacea and calendula. I thought that was really important. And so finding the balance to, I think, one, to like give credence to our own thought around this. We didn't know if this was going to work yet. And so just putting as much data behind us was really important. And that meant looking at a bunch of different schools of thought. And I think that came from the fact that I was seeking out many different types of doctors and I had found some resolution, but plants were really the ticket for me. And it was something that didn't exist. There wasn't something out there that didn't make me feel ashamed via the packaging, didn't make me uncomfortable because of the other symptoms it caused, or was like difficult to insert. So we wanted to address all those things. And so looking across various modalities was where we landed.
How did you, I'm just thinking like, let's say I'm in a situation, I'm in dire need of some sort of solution. How did you get buy-in from people to use your products at first? Like early stages.
Yeah. I mean, like 7-8 years ago, we were literally putting this stuff in tin cans.
Mhm.
Like for the most part, I mean, they were like metal.
They're like, you're like, it's going to work, I promise.
Yeah. Like
Like,
metal
thanks.
stuff. And it actually wasn't supposed to be, it wasn't like a company at that stage. It was like, we're doing this thing, and we had been connecting with doctors and community. And so like they were invested in this for us as a project, right? Like, oh, let me try this. And actually the first person we gifted it to was a friend of a friend. And again, my partner has a big science community background. And so there were people he was discussing these ideas with. And one of the guys was like, oh, my girlfriend has internal vaginal eczema.
Oh my God. Ouch.
Yeah.
So sorry to anyone out there with this.
Yeah. Like so painful. So,
gosh.
tons of teeny tiny cuts, penetrative sex was impossible.
Ugh.
And so and then it was causing her obviously a ton of infections. And we're like, all right, like try this.
Let's give it a shot.
You know,
it's kind of like when your doctor says, hey, if it works for you, then go for it.
Totally.
Like, all right, we're going to do it.
And I'm sure she was desperate for anything. So
exactly. Just like me.
She's like, girl, I tried the garlic too and it didn't work.
Exactly. Yeah. And so again, we were really careful even in our early state formulations for how we were putting these products together, especially any of the volatile ingredients. Like we still use some of the same methodologies then in terms of like we're encapsulating the actives in a lipid. So like in a fat. So any of the hard hitting, like really intense ingredients are very safe for the skin. And so again, we had the background to kind of do that early on. And so she trusted us and had like incredible results. And that's when we were like, and we started to share it with more people. And then this anecdote is actually, so Portland has a very large sex work community. The largest amount of strip clubs per capita.
No.
Oh my God.
I did not know this.
Did not know that.
Yeah. A lot of, if you will, working vulvas there. So people who are having a lot of like sex and performance work, like rubbing a vagina on a pole, or not a vagina, excuse me, a vulva on a pole, like they're uncomfortable. And so we started connecting with sex work community very early on, who were also desperate. And so they really gave us a lot of insight, and supporting
like the perfect, the perfect demographic to test this out. Be like, give us all your feedback.
Yeah. And
how is it working?
Totally do a ton of support for them because especially with the rise of like OnlyFans and things like that, like there's so many people out there doing these things and then not realizing how to care for their bodies properly. And so it totally just grew from there. Very, very organic.
Awesome.
I love it. And that's the best type of marketing and growth.
Word of mouth too. And like, if it works, you want to continue using it for a long time.
Right.
What about like in stores, right? Like a Whole Foods or a CVS, is that the next step for you guys?
Maybe. This gets into a different conversation about like business, right? So we started as direct to consumer. We expanded into omni-channel. So into various, like we sell on Walmart online, we sell on Amazon, we tested in Anthropology. So, we've expanded into some of these, other avenues. We have like small chains that carry us, but we are self-funded. The big box stores are a big financial commitment without a lot of reward. It's a big risk for $1 on a product, and they require massive massive quantities.
Right.
And if you don't do well on the shelf, so if you don't hit their velocity and they don't reorder, you've just put out this massive amount of capital.
I see.
And and then they ask you to buy into all of their marketing. And so like it's doable, and it's definitely still a necessity for us because I think it's really important that these products are accessible. Like if I have a yeast infection, I want to go to CVS and get something immediately.
I'm also thinking like teenagers, young adults who like are using their parents' credit card or like their parents giving them a $20 bill. Like they just want to be able to run into CVS and get something that they need. Like they're going to maybe feel more uncomfortable ordering something online, seeing the charge. Like,
totally.
Totally.
Good point.
Totally. And so it's definitely a next step for us in this economy and like business. It's really important for us to stay safe. So many people rely on our products already that like I wouldn't want to put myself in a position where we would put the business at risk, which right now as a profitable independent company is like high. I only have
Yeah.
so many months, you know, run rate till like,
Right.
you know, if I'm like, okay, I'm putting all our savings into Target and they're like,
Yeah.
we're good, you know, like,
Right.
but maybe
It'll be-
Target, if you're listening, give us a break.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love it. No, that makes total sense.
Yeah. Who doesn't love a candle? I know some of my simple pleasures in life include cleaning my house, getting cozy on the couch, putting on my favorite show, and lighting a beautiful candle. But what I don't love about traditional candles are the PFAs, formaldehyde releasers, synthetic fragrances, heavy metals, and volatile organic compounds that are often found in them. It definitely just ruins the experience for me if I know that I'm potentially breathing in carcinogenic or hormone disrupting chemicals. And this is why I almost exclusively shop Fate Naturals candles. She has somehow made non-toxic candles smell as potent as the ones that you would buy at Home Goods. I have yet to recommend this candle brand to someone who does not absolutely love them. What's also so fun about Fate Naturals is that she does these seasonal drops. So each season she comes out with a collection of 6 scented candles. The spring collection that just dropped has the scents Succulent Garden, Yuzu Blossom, Blueberry Muffin, Grapefruit Basil, Beach Bonfire, and Coastal Cottage. She also does a Candle of the Month Club where you'll be the first to try exclusive and new scents. The past few months have been Sweet Magnolia for April, which is a delicate floral scent, Lucky Shamrock for March, which is a combination of a crisp aloe and a zesty lime, and February was a red velvet cupcake, which was very sweet and buttery. I have tried lots and lots of candles, and I just always come back to Fate Naturals. They are always my first recommendation when someone is looking for a non-toxic candle. You can get 10% off any Fate Naturals purchase, including monthly recurring subscriptions, with my code DetoxYourDome. That is 10% off any Fate Naturals purchase with the code DetoxYourDome, spelled DetoxYourdome. I promise you will love Fate Naturals. Yeah.
The other product that I was looking at that I was interested is the tonic like spray.
Or the hydrosol. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what does that do? And is that like, and where are you spraying that?
So the designation for that, and it should say hair on this now, is face, body, and vulva. So this
Okay,
product was
love.
born out of, again, I was talking a lot about that. I'm pretty active and I do a lot of yoga. And I live in New York City, and people are always grossed out when I like make TikToks or whatever about this. But I'm like, there's no showers in a New York City hot yoga studio. Maybe if you're super bougie, but for the most part, you are going to yoga, walking or taking the subway, and getting sweaty as fuck. And then what? You're either walking home in wet yoga clothes, maybe you're changing, whatever, you know, your prerogative
Maybe you're getting
is.
a coffee after you're still in your stuff.
Yeah. And so I was using it because I was like, again, I became hypersensitive kind of everywhere, on my face, my body, my vulva, like after yoga. And it's really nice because it's cooling, it's a bit astringent, it's antimicrobial, it's soothing. So all of that redness, all of that inflammation, it just kind of gives you that cleansing feeling.
Awesome.
It's reminding me of like a hyperchlorous acid.
Yes.
But for your vulva, or like
and
a
like,
micellar
and
water
like
wipe, but for your
nicer.
vulva.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Like I don't want salt.
Nicer, more lovely.
Actually, I do want salt water kind of on my vulva, but like I want to like spray something that's like also doing a little bit more than the hyperchlorous acid.
Totally.
Okay.
It's giving me an extra kick. So what about sourcing? How do you source your ingredients? How do you make sure that they're organic, high quality? What's your process like there?
Yeah. So this is another piece where my business partner is super like crucial. He was working in sustainability at World Wildlife Fund before this, and doing supply chain management for PepsiCo. And so it was like, how can I save one drop of water for PepsiCo? Which like is cool and important, but he's like, the impact is really hard to measure. And especially as an individual who's invested in like these systems and the science of it all, like, it was like not a lot of, the juice wasn't worth the squeeze for him. And so we've used a lot of his methodologies in terms of tracking our supply chain and sustainability efforts through him. So that means knowing where our farms are, knowing their farming practices, because it's, you know, it's an organic product like you would eat essentially. These are really high quality ingredients that like the watering, the weather, everything, all of that affects the product. So like, which again, anecdotally affects how they look. right? So like some seasons, the golden seal is a lot more yellow. So our salve is more yellow. And people are like, this looks different. I'm like, yeah, it's okay. It's a natural product. This is why.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Like you kind of want that. It's like when you go to the farm and you get strawberries and they're this big and they taste better than anything you've ever had in the store. And you're like, actually, I've been taught to think that my strawberry needs to be perfect and like this massive size every time I eat it. But that's actually not how nature works. And that's not how this should work.
That's like a GMO strawberry and like it's all souped up on steroids and like that's fine. It might look pretty, but like, you know, here's the nuance. So we selected all of our farms. All of our ingredients are certified organic, aside from the cedar wood in our tonic cannot be designated as certified organic, because that is a like legal term that addresses the practices of organic farming. And for cedar wood to be sustainable, it has to be wild farmed. So like out in nature. And so there's like some nuance there that's really, really cool. And then of course, organic certifications will honor those practices, provided you work with an accredited wild harvest community. And so we pay that much attention. And then we try to keep everything as close to Oregon as possible, which is where our co-pack manufacturing is. And for that, you have to also, to be a certified organic product, manufacture in certified organic facilities. So these places are accredited, again, by like various groups, FDA, certified organic, Oregon TILF, et cetera, at every stage of the process. And so we worked really hard to find co-pack manufacturers that could work with us on sourcing if we didn't have it, allow us to import from where we wanted to, kind of every step of the way.
Yeah. How do you go about FDA approval versus like getting like doctor sign off? Like, are you reaching out to hospitals yourself? What's the process like for that?
It's a mix and it depends on the product. So some products are cosmetic topicals. So those products, we self-regulate through our certified organic co-packer, and they are made with FDA generally regarded as safe ingredients, but they do not have a drug facts panel. And so they're not like regulated by the FDA for claims. Our homeopathic suppository is regulated through a like FDA adjacent. I don't know what their actual relationships is, but it does have a drug facts panel. And so
that's because it's technically like a medical device, or
it's a medicine. And so that's regulated by the homeopathic pharmacopoeia, which is again like the plant-based regulatory body that like recognizes plant-based medicine without it being FDA approved. FDA approval is like a whole different program. And we go back and forth of whether we want some of these to be FDA approved or not, because it changes how you can talk about the product.
Sure.
Which
does it restrict, or like, does it restrict what you can say, or does it kind of open up more doors?
It can go both ways, actually. So it's really interesting. So like our suppository is designated for yeast infections, which is cool. But this suppository, 100% anecdotally, like off the record, would absolutely work in terms of formulation for BV, but because it's a regulated drug facts product, the drug facts panel, we can only choose one. So I can't have this multi-use product and talk about all these issues
like
for this.
Pigeonholes you.
Yeah, which I think also is interesting because it contributes to consumerism, right? Like, I could sell this for like a lot of different things, but I can't because of the claims. So,
and like you could technically take the exact same formulation, put a different label on it, market it as this for the separate issue, and then just make people try to buy two different products.
It would probably be, I mean, no, we would make a different formulation, but like you could, I mean, people who use the suppository definitely show and say, they're like, oh my God, this was great for my BV. And I'm like, that's great. I can't tell anyone that though. You know?
Gotcha.
Like, we chose our lane and we have to stick it.
Yeah. So like the salve, which we considered, which is again, it's our best seller and it's a topical cosmetic. I can talk about soothing symptoms of various conditions because it is in a different category.
Got it. And because it's not like a medical device.
I'm saying soothe instead of treat. So the language becomes really, really important here. And like a lot of companies don't talk about this, but I think as a consumer, ask your companies, like talk to them like honestly, and they will put the safety language, if they're smart, in front of it, be like, I can't diagnose you. This is what this says. This is, like talk about the nuance there.
You got to be like careful what you're saying. So how did you learn what to say, what vocabulary to use? Is that from your own personal learning? Lawyers. Okay. Yeah. You hire people to make
lawyers.
Sure.
Yeah. If you're starting a company, and like, I think this goes back to my business, I'm very grateful for him because he like put safeguards in place very early for us. I can talk about my story, right? And how I resolved it, but that's like separate of like,
totally,
how we talk about the products.
You guys complement each other well.
We do. And so, I always recommend, like, if you can't afford multiple, like we have a language lawyer, we have a business lawyer, we have like 5 teams, and I'm like obsessed with them because I've learned so much from them, as well as like the legal holes, which I do like to talk about because of like, this is why this product is saying this. And like, sure, everybody doesn't understand a drug facts panel, but this goes back to consumer comprehension. Right. And like and also business ethics.
Yeah.
Love
and it
this
just kind of influences the way that you look at all products, like just understanding this is how we have to operate in this country, at least. Yeah. And it helps you, again, be that more educated consumer and look at products. And I feel like at the end of the day, just turning around and looking at the ingredient label, like, always serves you best to understand what's actually in a product.
Yeah. Someone bought me a neck cream, right? I'm like in my mid-30s. Someone gave me a neck cream the other day. I was like, okay. And I'm like, why is this a
You're like, are you telling me something?
They are. Yeah. No, but like, I was just like, okay, what's in this and why a neck cream only? And it was like, and it's just such an interesting thing. I'm like,
so interesting.
Why wouldn't I put this
ingredients
on my under eyes or like on my face too? Right. Why is it only? And it's just, again, a lot of that goes back to like marketing too. Yeah. Selling more shit to people.
Exactly. Which is honestly how the avenue that I got into this whole world of non-toxic living and just, I guess, educated consumerism, because I come from a marketing background. It's what I studied in school. It's what I went into after school. And I was just always so fascinated by looking at products and kind of trying to decide for myself, like seeing through the marketing, seeing through the branding and deciding for myself, is this product actually worth it? Or am I just completely falling into the consumerist marketing trap here? Yeah. And that just led me to looking at ingredients and trying to understand what's actually in these products that I'm purchasing and being like, oh, I can use this on my neck and on my face because it's the same exact thing.
Butt. Yeah, totally.
And my butt. Yep. Yeah. So, okay. I would love to talk about some of the products that are like out there in the world and like why we should or shouldn't use them and like how we can purchase the best of them. So my first thought is lube. You mentioned lube and I would love to know, like, is there something in lube that we should be looking for or that we should be staying away from?
Yeah, layman's terms, just so you're not like writing down a bunch of words you can't say. Yeah. Stay away from fragrance, scents, flavors. Like fragrances and flavors you do not need in your leaves. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
I'm like thinking about like literally like cookies and cream lube. Like, it
exists. I mean, even some of the more popular brands have vanilla scent in them or something like that.
Okay,
like,
so no scent.
No scent and no flavor. Your vagina should taste like a vagina. And like those I think are some of the biggest offenders of like getting a yeast infection. A lot of the preservatives also can be really hard on our vaginal microbiome. So like I tend to recommend companies that really focus on, pH buffering, flavorless, scentless lubes that are really there for moisture and prioritize moisture and like, vaginal and vulva like maintenance rather than like enhance your intimacy through this like heat induction lube that tastes like this.
No. No.
But to like step back even further, like a lot of people use natural oils like a coconut oil.
What about a coconut oil?
Coconut oil, if it's a fractionated coconut oil, like go for it. It's naturally antimicrobial. Okay. Some people like coconut oil gives you yeast infections, which like
is that the one that's like a liquid versus the solid?
Oil. It can come both ways. Okay. It can come both ways. It just should be fractionated. But no, coconut oil, if it's fractionated, is fine. There's like nothing in it.
Love. You were told no coconut oil?
I was told no after that, like the JF sex tape.
Oh.
Did you ever watch that?
Monica's like, I learned my lesson once.
No,
and
I
I've
was
never
like, all
gone back.
right, no coconut oil, noted.
She's like, I gotta check this out.
She's like, I'm looking it
I
up.
am.
He like, wait, do you remember? It was like the full coconut oil.
Yeah.
We saw this in college. Yeah.
I'll watch for research later.
Yes.
Yep,
Let us know your thoughts.
Yep.
Okay. The next one that I have is douching. I feel like everyone knows you shouldn't be douching, but like, why shouldn't you? And then why are they still selling them? Like, you walk down the femcare aisle and you can buy them.
You see the douche. You see
them, and you're like,
douche.
are people still buying these? I feel like this is actually the one thing that I was taught in my life. Is
I know.
Don't ever buy that or use it.
Douching was I can't remember the company. It was like Windex or something started douching. And we were literally like shooting Windex up our vaginas, which is so wild. But that's because you're making direct contact with your vaginal microbiome. You're like shooting a ton of stuff up there. God knows what's in it. And it's just like the first thing that's going to like wreak havoc in your vagina. And so the douches that still exist. So obviously, and I'm sorry to like by name, but like, the Summer's Eve of it all. That's like fragrance flavor. Like, don't do it.
Yeah.
Don't do it.
Got it.
There are some like, especially if you're postpartum, there's some like squirt bottle things that like people recommend you use to then like clean the area, stitches, things like that. I know some people that do try and make their own through with like highly diluted apple cider vinegar and things like that. But like,
okay.
I don't know about that.
I don't recommend it. We really live by don't put anything up there.
Right.
Yeah.
And so then what is what does a suppository do and how is that different?
Yeah. So the suppository is like, again, it's a medical device. It's it's like a little bullet, right? That is delivering a regulated amount of approved ingredients that are specifically addressing vaginal concerns. So like, we're not vaguely cleaning anything up there. We're not like blasting your vagina with stuff.
You're like targeting specific.
Yeah. So like we're addressing dryness, we're addressing Gardnerella, we're addressing Candida through these ingredients, similar to the way a monostat would. We're delivering medicated ingredients essentially that are meant to.
And how long do you keep it in for?
It melts. So you enter it and then it comes out on its own.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, and then do you use it like over the course of a week or you just do it once and you should be good?
So it depends. So we have a 14-day course that you could take twice a day for 7 days, once at night for 14 days. We also do a 3-day. So a lot of people use a suppository as maintenance. There are people that suffer from chronic yeast or suffer from various like vaginal discomfort. And so they'll know, especially actually hormonal yeast infections. So it's really common during our cycle, when our estrogen drops, that people get infections. That's why you're uncomfortable if you are during your cycle. And so they'll use it preventatively because it can cause yeast infections often.
Got it.
Yeah.
What about cranberry juice? Does that work?
Yes.
Or is that a full myth?
No, it's not a full myth. So cranberry, I can't remember the active's name right now. There is, I'll have to look it up, but there's an active in cranberry, pure cranberry.
Okay, it's got to be
right.
pure.
Like this is not like an Ocean Breeze commercial. You're not like drinking that. That's not going to do it. But I know
I'm thinking like
in college.
Monica and I were up in Vermont last weekend, and at the farmers market, it was like Vermont tart cranberry juice. We're like, oh, let's get this, and it was the tart. Like we were diluting it. I'm thinking like that's the cranberry juice that you want.
And is
that like preventative, or like is that when you feel UTI, you can cure it with cranberry juice?
So I wouldn't say cure. Again, this goes back to a language piece. I don't know how to say this word. It's proanthocyanidins. I'll have to look it up. But that is, it's part of the anti-adhesion of the bacteria within the urethra that helps. It's also a diuretic, so it helps you pee more.
Okay, got it.
Yep. So you're kind of flushing everything out.
Yes. Okay. And so cranberry can work. Okay. I don't know. It can be preventative. It can help alongside things as a singular antidote to UTIs. It's really hard for me to imagine that fully works. We make a UTI supplement.
But it makes you feel a little bit better.
Sure. And that goes back to look inward. If this is something that you are doing for yourself that you're like, all right, I know that having a glass of, quarter of the quarter cranberry juice, like you all said, and then like 3/4 water after I have sex makes me feel better. Like psychosomatic effect, you're like, wow, okay, cool. I feel good. I did my thing. The stress is not going to like get to me because stress is a known causer of infection. Do it, go for it. And then like think about the other things you can do. Like I said, we make a supplement as well because I didn't think that cranberry was sufficient. And so we added,
we can do better.
Totally, like cranberry is great, but like, let's go. Like we can do more. And so we included other ingredients to enhance the wonderful things that cranberry does to just, you know, make it like, again, better. Well, there's not a ton of innovation in this community. And so why wouldn't we continue to like seek out better care and provide it?
I love that.
Absolutely. My last question is, say there's someone out there listening or, you know, coming across your brand who is experiencing these issues, who's feeling a lot of shame around them, who like wants answers. What is something that you would say to them?
Somebody who's going through these issues, who's experiencing shame, I think it's important to look inward and like, do you have a provider that is supportive, right? Have you gone to the doctor already? Have they offered solutions that haven't helped? Like if that, then this. If your community also is one judgmental, that's like a different conversation. Why do you have community that like you can't be honest with?
Right.
Of course, there's always going to be space for the people that maybe don't know how to react at first, but try and find those good few. I really think people are expanding their ideas around caring for these issues. So, you know, maybe you think that they're not cool with it or that you're embarrassed, but they might be. I mean, sharing my story has been so empowering and really helped open up so much community who's like, oh my gosh, me too, which I think is so powerful. And so if you have, you know, if you're willing, why not?
It's so powerful.
I think it's the more we talk about it, the easier it gets.
I have one friend who actually just last week called me and she's like, I'm having all these fucking vagina problems. Like I'm going through blah, blah, blah. And she also, for her work, she like is in like leggings, athletic wear all day long. And she's like, I got to stop wearing these things. I'm getting all these problems, blah, blah, blah. I go, oh, well, I have a brand for you. Awesome. And she immediately ordered all of the Momotaro Apotheca stuff. She's been loving it. And when she met with her doctor, she was like, oh, I ordered this stuff. And her doctor pulls it up and her doctor's like, this has all the good stuff. I'm going to start recommending this. This is amazing. So she's like all around
Total
5 stars.
I'm so excited. And you know what? It's so interesting. I was on a call with a doctor before this. And when we started this 7 years ago, the reaction was very different. And now providers are really like, they were like natural. We don't have enough information. Right. But there has been such an explosion of women advocating for their needs now. And doctors really not having the resources to provide them solutions. And so now we're seeing a lot more practitioner support because they're like, oh, wow, these are safe. You do have the data.
Yeah.
You can apply this to a vulva because like, you know what? The 7th diflucan is really not cutting it for this patient.
Yeah. Right.
You know? Right. And so I think that that's really important. And I'm so excited. Thank you for sharing.
Of course. Well, congratulations for pushing through all of those barriers and being at this place where you said you're 7 or 8 years into this business and you're absolutely moving the needle. You're having these conversations, you're being vulnerable and transparent. And I think it's really inspiring to people with vulvas everywhere. And I just appreciate all the work that you're doing.
Yeah. And I love your confidence. And again, like it makes like, I think everything kind of spreads and is contagious. So like we have this conversation and then like I feel more comfortable having a conversation like with my friends, my sisters, and then they have a conversation with their friends and their sisters. So like it all spreads. So thank you so much.
I'm really grateful and you're 100% right. Like even now we know that these conversations are more impactful than running 100 ads on Instagram, which we still do, but like this is more, this is truly more important, right? Like we're flooded with information all day long. And like, it really is community and one-on-one support and like taking the time that will make the difference and really move the needle. I really believe it. And so I'm grateful. And honestly, the work you guys do here is super important.
Thank you so
Love
much.
it. Thank you.
This is amazing to connect, and I know we'll have many more conversations in the future. So excited for our community to listen to this episode.
Same. Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much.
Bye.
Bye.